Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken away from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Could you men not keep watch with me for an hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." When he came back and again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy, so he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to his disciples and said unto them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour is near, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Rise, let us go. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. Today, I just want to give you a brief word of encouragement. And I want to tell you this: don't throw in the towel. Don't throw in the towel. I just want you to nudge your neighbor and tell your neighbor, you don't throw in the towel. Tell the neighbor on the other side of you, don't throw in the towel. Now, don't worry about your neighbor. Just talk to yourself and say, "Self, don't throw in the towel." Don't throw in the towel. Again, in this text, Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane, and it's one of the most difficult, trying, and troubling times of Jesus' earthly life. Jesus' time was approaching, and the time was approaching when he was going to be crucified on the cross. The time was approaching when Jesus was going to lay down his life so that the relationship that had been broken between God and mankind because of sin could now be restored. Jesus felt alone, Jesus felt abandoned, and Jesus felt betrayed. Yet Jesus understood that it was not about him, and he was not going to throw in the towel. So as we explained last week, when Jesus faced these difficult times, when Jesus felt alone, when Jesus felt abandoned, when Jesus felt betrayed, Jesus decided to go a step and go a little bit further. And it's important for you and I to remember that when we face difficult times in our lives, when we feel like we've been abandoned, when we feel like we've been betrayed, when we feel like that people have set traps for us, we need to dig a little deeper, and we need to be able to go a little further. And as Jesus dug a little deeper, and as Jesus went a little further, we see that Jesus began to pray. Jesus went a little further, and Jesus dug a little deeper, and he had to get away from his inner circle. He dug a little deeper, he went a little further, and he told James, John, and Peter that they had to stay where they were. Peter, James, and John could not go to the place that Jesus was going. Peter, James, and John could not handle what was being placed on Jesus. Jesus went deeper, and they could not handle the depths of which Jesus was going to go. Jesus went further, and now they could not follow him to the place that he was about to go. And I need to help somebody that's here today. Just like we said last week, whenever it is that you decide to go a little deeper, whenever it is that you decide to go a little further, everyone who hangs out with you is not able to hang with you once you go deeper or once you go further. You may have to leave some people where they're at as you go deeper. You may have to leave some people where they're at as you go further. When I was visiting my brother, and we went to vacation in Orlando, Florida. And when Kim and I were visiting my brother, Kamara was young. She was about 7 years old. Joshua and Caden were like 2 and 3. And so we went to go visit them. And when we went to visit him, we all went swimming in the swimming pool. And as we went to the swimming pool, everyone who was around the swimming pool was not able to participate in swimming. So my brother and I and Kim, we got into the deep. My brother's daughter, her name is Hannah. Hannah was able to swim, so she got into the deep. So we were into the deep end of the swimming pool, and we were having fun. We were dunking one another. We were playing basketball. We were on those big little, we call those things, those floatables, and we were floating in them, and we would come up underneath, and we would throw each other off, and we were having a whole lot of fun. And all of a sudden, Kamara says, I want to be able to have some fun. I said, well, baby, if you want to have some fun, you got to come into the deep. And she said, well, Daddy, I kind of know how to swim, but I don't really know how to swim. But I want to come with you and play with you in the deep end. Well, Kamara decided in her mind that she was going to jump in. So she jumped in, and then she swam and taught herself how to swim in that brief moment so that she could come and be able to play with us in the deep end of the pool. So Kamara jumped in. She was willing to go a little further. She was willing to go a little deeper because she didn't want to miss out on the fun. Well, Caden and Joshua were sitting here and saying, wait a minute, how is it that Kamara is willing to go and have fun and can get to another level and go and have fun with Daddy and Uncle Tony? Because y'all do know my brother's name is Tony as well, and yes, we do have the same name. And so we were there, and as we were there, Caden said, Daddy, I want to come. And I said, well, Caden, if you want to be able to come into the deep, you got to be able to put on something a little extra and carry a little more weight so that you can come to where we are. And he was like, what do you mean, Daddy? I said, you got to put on the life preserver. So he went and got his life jacket, and he jumped into the swimming pool, and he was willing to go deeper. He was willing to go further. He was willing to carry a little extra weight, and he was able to come in and play with me, Kamara, Uncle Tony, Kim, and everybody that was in the family. Well, Joshua said, wait a minute. How is it that Caden gets to go and have fun? How is it that Kamara's having fun? Hannah's having fun, Uncle Tony's having fun, Daddy's having fun, Mama's having fun, and I'm not having any fun. And Caden said, Joshua, you got to be willing to put on the life jacket. And Joshua said, I ain't putting it on. Y'all know Joshua. Joshua said, I don't need it. So Joshua jumped in the pool. Daddy, help. So I went and got Joshua. I pulled him out of the pool. Joshua said, Daddy, put that orange thing on me. I said, well, you know it's going to be a little uncomfortable. He said, but I want to have some fun. Put that orange thing on me. So we buckled him in. We put the life preserver on him. We buckled him in. He was able to jump in, and he was able to go into the deep. Matter of fact, Joshua started doing cannonballs. He said, wait a minute, started running, jumping, and making a big splash because he was having so much fun, because he was now willing to put on something that cost him a little heavier. Took him a little more to put it on. It was heavier for him to carry. It was some extra weight, but he was willing to go deeper. He was able to go further because he was willing to carry a little extra weight. Why are you saying this, Pastor McGee? There are some people in your life that are not willing to go deeper. They're not willing to go further. They're not willing to carry any extra weight. They're not willing to carry any extra load. So they are not ready to go to the deep, and they are not ready to go any further. So you need to leave them where they are so that you can get to the place that God wants you to be, so that you can go further. Jesus went deeper. he left his disciples where they were at. He went further, and then Jesus prayed. Each time you pray, no matter how deep you think you are, you need to go a little deeper. Each time you pray, no matter how far you think you've gone, it ought to take you a little bit further. And that's what we're going to explore today. What happened when Jesus decided to really go deeper? What happened when Jesus decided to go a little bit further? When Jesus went further, when Jesus went deeper, Jesus said, I am not throwing in the towel. Jesus said, I'm going deeper than I've ever gone. I'm going further than I ever went, and I am not going to throw in the towel. And I believe that that's my word for somebody that's here today, because you've been going deeper, you've been going further, and you think that you are drowning and you want to throw in the towel, but you don't give up, you don't give out, you don't give in, you go deeper, you go further, you put on your life preserver in Jesus, and you do not quit. As a matter of fact, the best thing that we can do when we feel like throwing in the towel is to go into God in prayer. That's what the text said that Jesus did. He went to the Father and said, my Father, if it is possible, may, listen to this, may this cup be taken away from me, yet not as I will, but as you will. He went to the Father. He didn't go to his disciples. He left them where they were at. He went to the Father. He didn't go to his family. He left them where they were at. He went to the Father. He didn't go to his friends. He left them where they were at. The text says he went directly to the Father. And instead of telling his disciples his concerns, instead of giving his anxiety and sharing it with others, he turned to the Heavenly Father. And y'all, that's exactly what we are to do. When we're dealing with difficult circumstances and situations in our life, we ought to go directly to the Father. Now, I understand that we want to talk to others. I understand that we want to share with others the way that we're feeling. I understand that the thoughts that are raging inside of us, we want to talk to other people, and we want to share with other people how it is that we're feeling. And y'all, that's all good, because there are trained psychologists, psychiatrists, and doctors that are able to help us, who understand the human brain and who understand human behavior. And I encourage everybody who needs to talk to somebody, who needs to talk to a doctor, please go and talk to them. If you need to talk to someone, you need to sit down with them and get some things off of your chest, please go and talk with them. There's nothing wrong with talking to Christian counselors. There's nothing wrong with going and getting an assessment of how you are in your mind. But y'all, matter of fact, I got somebody you can talk to. I do, so see me after service. I understand that, y'all, we want to let some steam off. I understand there's times you want to vent. There's some times you may even want to complain. But instead of talking to Christian counselors, we talk to Pookie and them.